Pollution has become one of the most pressing global health issues, affecting millions of people across the world and threatening ecosystems, wildlife, and the climate. It spans various forms, including air, water, soil, and noise pollution, all of which contribute to a wide array of health problems and environmental degradation. This widespread problem, which stems largely from human activities like industrialization, deforestation, and waste disposal, now poses serious risks not only to public health but also to the sustainability of life on Earth. Tackling pollution effectively is essential for safeguarding both the environment and human health. This article delves into the different forms of pollution, their impact on global health, and what we can do collectively to mitigate this growing crisis. Types of pollution and their effects on global health. There are several types of pollution, each with distinct characteristics and consequences. The most prominent forms include 1. Air pollution. Air pollution is arguably the most well-known form of pollution and the leading environmental cause of illness and premature death worldwide. It occurs when harmful substances, such as particulate matter, chemicals, and gases, are released into the atmosphere. Sources of air pollution. The major contributors include vehicle emissions, industrial discharges, power plants, burning of fossil fuels, and agricultural practices. Health impacts. Exposure to polluted air can lead to respiratory diseases like asthma, chronic bronchitis, lung cancer, and cardiovascular problems. Air pollution is also linked to stroke, heart disease, and complications in pregnancy, affecting newborn health. The World Health Organization, WHO, estimates that air pollution contributes to approximately 7 million deaths each year globally. Environmental consequences. Air pollution is a significant contributor to climate change, as greenhouse gases trap heat in the Earth's atmosphere, causing global warming. Additionally, pollutants like sulfur dioxide and nitrogen oxides contribute to acid rain, which harms crops, forests, and water sources. 2. Water pollution. Water pollution occurs when harmful substances such as chemicals, industrial waste, plastics, and pathogens contaminate water bodies, making them unsafe for human use and damaging aquatic ecosystems. Sources of water pollution. The primary sources include agricultural runoff, sewage discharge, industrial waste, oil spills, and plastic waste. Health impacts. Contaminated water can cause a host of health issues, including waterborne diseases such as cholera, dysentery, and typhoid. In developing countries, inadequate access to clean water leads to high mortality rates, particularly among children, due to diarrheal diseases. Environmental consequences. Water pollution devastates marine and freshwater ecosystems. Aquatic life suffers from the toxicity of pollutants, and large-scale contamination events, such as oil spills, can wipe out entire ecosystems. 3. Soil pollution. Soil pollution refers to the contamination of land by chemicals, heavy metals, plastics, and organic waste. It can be particularly dangerous because pollutants can leach into the food chain and impact human health. Sources of soil pollution. Common sources include industrial waste, agricultural chemicals, such as pesticides and fertilizers, mining activities, and improper disposal of household waste. Health impacts. Contaminated soil can lead to direct exposure through skin contact or inhalation of dust. It also poses risks through food contamination, leading to long-term health conditions such as cancers, birth defects, and chronic poisoning from toxic chemicals like lead and mercury. Environmental consequences. Soil pollution reduces soil fertility, making it harder to grow crops. This depletion of arable land contributes to food insecurity, especially in vulnerable regions. 4. Noise pollution. Although often overlooked, noise pollution has significant health and environmental consequences. It refers to harmful or annoying levels of noise, particularly from urban environments, traffic, and industrial activities. Sources of noise pollution. Major sources include transportation systems, cars, planes, trains, industrial operations, construction, and urbanization. Health impacts. Prolonged exposure to high noise levels can lead to stress, hearing loss, sleep disturbances, and increased risk of cardiovascular diseases. It can also trigger mental health issues, including anxiety and depression. Environmental consequences. Noise pollution disrupts wildlife habitats, interfering with communication, reproduction, and navigation among animals. It can also contribute to behavioral changes that reduce biodiversity. Global health impact of pollution. The effects of pollution on global health are profound, with millions of lives impacted every year. The burden is especially severe in low and middle-income countries, where pollution control measures are often inadequate. 1. Respiratory and cardiovascular diseases. One of the most immediate and deadly impacts of pollution is the rise in respiratory and cardiovascular diseases. Airborne pollutants, including particulate matter and nitrogen dioxide, directly damage lung tissue, exacerbate asthma, and increase the risk of lung cancer. Meanwhile, long-term exposure to polluted air is a significant risk factor for heart disease and stroke, especially among vulnerable populations like children, the elderly, and those with pre-existing conditions. 2. Cancer. Many pollutants, particularly those found in the air, water, and soil, are carcinogenic. Prolonged exposure to chemicals like benzene, asbestos, and heavy metals, such as lead and mercury, has been linked to cancers of the lungs, liver, bladder, and skin. In regions where industrial waste is improperly managed, cancer rates are notably higher. 3. Mental health. While the physical health impacts of pollution are well documented, emerging research is also linking pollution exposure to mental health problems. Studies have shown that individuals living in highly polluted areas are more likely to suffer from depression, anxiety, and cognitive decline. Noise pollution, in particular, disrupts sleep patterns and increases stress levels, both of which contribute to mental health issues. 4. Developmental and reproductive health. Pollution has detrimental effects on reproductive health and child development. Pregnant women exposed to polluted air, water, or soil are at increased risk of complications such as preterm birth, low birth weight, and birth defects. Young children exposed to pollutants are also more vulnerable to developmental issues, including cognitive impairments, learning disabilities, and reduced immune function. Pollution and climate change. A vicious cycle. Pollution and climate change are deeply interconnected, and each exacerbates the other. Greenhouse gas emissions from fossil fuel combustion are the primary drivers of global warming, while deforestation and industrial pollution contribute to environmental degradation. As the climate warms, pollution-related health issues are expected to worsen. For instance, air pollution. Rising temperatures increase the prevalence of smog and particulate matter, leading to more severe respiratory problems. Water pollution. Climate change leads to more frequent and intense storms, which increase runoff and flooding, contaminating water sources with pollutants. Food security. Soil pollution and climate change together reduce agricultural yields, leading to food shortages and malnutrition in vulnerable populations. Solutions and global efforts to combat pollution. Addressing the global health crisis posed by pollution requires a collective effort involving governments, industries, and individuals. The following strategies are essential for mitigating pollution and protecting public health. 1. Transition to clean energy. Reducing reliance on fossil fuels and transitioning to renewable energy sources like wind, solar, and hydropower is critical in combating air pollution and curbing greenhouse gas emissions. Many countries are investing in clean energy infrastructure, but global cooperation is needed to accelerate this transition. 2. Stricter environmental regulations. Governments must enforce stricter regulations on industries to reduce pollution. This includes monitoring and limiting emissions from factories, vehicles, and agricultural practices. International treaties and agreements, like the Paris Agreement, play a vital role in setting global pollution reduction targets. 3. Waste management and recycling. Improved waste management systems are necessary to prevent pollution from plastics, chemicals, and industrial byproducts. Recycling programs, along with education about reducing waste, can significantly decrease pollution levels. 4. Investment in public health. Governments and organizations must invest in public health initiatives that address the consequences of pollution. This includes providing access to clean water, improving air quality monitoring, and supporting healthcare systems in pollution-affected areas. 5. Individual actions. While large-scale changes are essential, individuals can also contribute to pollution reduction. This can be done by minimizing car use, recycling, reducing plastic consumption, and advocating for policies that promote environmental sustainability. Conclusion: pollution is not just an environmental issue. It is a profound global health crisis that affects every aspect of life. Its far-reaching impacts on human health, ecosystems, and the planet's climate require urgent and sustained action. By understanding the sources and consequences of pollution, we can begin to take meaningful steps toward creating a cleaner, healthier, and more sustainable world. Global cooperation, stricter environmental regulations, investment in clean energy, and individual efforts all play a role in combating this crisis. It's time to recognize pollution for what it is: a threat to life on Earth, and work together to protect the future of our planet and the health of all its inhabitants. Pollution stands as one of the most significant global challenges of our time, affecting both the health of individuals and the stability of ecosystems worldwide. Its diverse forms, air, water, soil, and noise, are all interconnected, and together they contribute to a global health crisis that endangers millions of lives each year. The scale and severity of pollution's impact are undeniable, with millions suffering from respiratory diseases, cardiovascular complications, cancers, and other serious health conditions directly linked to environmental pollutants. In some of the world's most vulnerable communities, the lack of clean air, safe water, and uncontaminated soil makes this crisis even more urgent. The reach of pollution is far beyond physical illness. It also threatens mental health, reproductive health, and child development. The insidious effects of pollution on cognitive function and mental well-being are only now beginning to be understood, adding another layer to the urgency of addressing this issue. For children born and raised in polluted environments, the consequences can be life-altering, with long-term effects on growth, learning, and overall quality of life. What makes pollution even more dangerous is its deep connection with climate change. The two are intertwined in a vicious cycle, each exacerbating the effects of the other. As the planet warms due to greenhouse gas emissions, pollution levels in many parts of the world increase, worsening public health crises and placing even more stress on already strained ecosystems. Rising temperatures also intensify the frequency and severity of natural disasters, such as floods and storms, which in turn spread pollutants into the air, water, and soil. Despite the overwhelming scale of the problem, the solutions to pollution are within our reach. The transition to clean, renewable energy is perhaps the most critical step we can take. Reducing our dependence on fossil fuels not only curbs greenhouse gas emissions but also cuts down on the harmful pollutants released into the atmosphere. This transition is not merely a technological challenge, it requires global cooperation, political will, and public support. Governments need to adopt stricter environmental regulations to hold industries accountable for their contributions to pollution. At the same time, individuals must also embrace more sustainable lifestyles, reducing their own environmental footprint through simple actions such as recycling, minimizing waste, and using energy-efficient technologies. Waste management is another area where significant improvements can be made. The world's landfills are overflowing with plastics and chemicals, many of which will take centuries to decompose. By improving recycling systems and reducing our overall waste production, we can help prevent these materials from polluting our oceans, rivers, and land. Public education on pollution and sustainable practices is crucial in this effort. Raising awareness about the importance of waste reduction and the impact of pollution on health and the environment can help foster a more eco-conscious society. Investment in public health, particularly in pollution-affected regions, is also key to mitigating the current crisis. Strengthening healthcare systems to better respond to the health consequences of pollution will save lives, particularly in low and middle-income countries where pollution-related diseases claim the highest toll. Additionally, initiatives that provide clean water, improve air quality monitoring, and develop pollution-resistant crops will help alleviate some of the burden on these communities. Yet, addressing pollution is not solely the responsibility of governments and corporations. As individuals, we all have a role to play in fighting this global health crisis. Simple lifestyle changes, such as reducing car use, conserving energy, recycling, and supporting policies that promote environmental sustainability, can collectively make a significant impact. Moreover, we must advocate for systemic changes, pressuring corporations and political leaders to prioritize environmental health and take decisive actions to mitigate pollution. In conclusion, pollution is a global health issue that demands immediate and comprehensive action from every sector of society. The cost of inaction is too great. Millions more lives will be lost, ecosystems will continue to degrade, and the impacts of climate change will accelerate. However, by working together, through policy change, technological innovation, and individual responsibility, we can combat pollution and create a healthier, more sustainable future. The solutions are within our grasp, but they require determination, cooperation, and a shared commitment to the well-being of the planet and its people. The time to act is now.